So, Jaydeep ji, first of all, I would like to welcome you at the for this special chit chat over the issues that are surrounding in the iGaming market. First of all, I'd like to talk about Sri Lanka. So, as you know, Sri Lanka is now it has already opened its door for the gaming operations, and it is also now eyeing its entry into iGaming, possibly by mid 2026. So, from your experience, what lessons, positive or negative, can other South Asian markets take lessons from this emerging market?
Yes. So thank you very much for having me. I think it's a pleasure to be here. And I think the event has been a phenomenal success. So thank you for all the hard work. I think talking about Sri Lanka, I think what Sri Lanka have done is Sri Lanka have created it's not just about casino. It's not about creating hotels. What they have done is they have created a regulated environment. Now, why does this matter? Because when you create a regulated environment, you encourage investments, you encourage taxation, you are moving people away from gray solutions or gray markets to regulated markets. Now what happens is this is not just a shift in allowing some casinos or allowing some hotels for tourism. This is a comprehensive policy shift. Now this is for the first time this has been happening in South Asia, let's say. And what I feel is this is a very good model which I think other South Asian nations should be following, and they should see the success of this particular model. Now obviously, when we talk about regulation, when we talk about regulating an industry, there are many aspects to that. Okay, like I said, it attracts investments. Now, obviously, we need to, like you mentioned, what are the key benefits of this? So, obviously, taxations, player protection. That's a very, very key important. You can only protect your players when you are having a regulated environment. You cannot protect your consumers or your players when your players are growing to gray sites. So that's a very positive approach that Sri Lanka has taken, and I feel we need to monitor this in coming days and coming months and years on how this is implemented. Now, obviously, there are some side effects or things that we need to be concerned or cautious about. Now, one of them being you cannot push over taxation. So taxation also has to be at that level or at that level where it makes business sense. Second, though we are regulating our industry, there should still be safeguards put in place, like player responsible gambling, your player protections, your AML, your KYC. All these features needs to be properly implemented for this industry to strive. So I think this is a very good starting point that Sri Lanka have taken, and obviously over the years we will see how this is implemented, how this is taking shape.
All right. Now let's get a little closer to our home, India, of course. So, from your perspective, what is still holding India back to get under a unified national, let's say, national gaming framework? What do you think so?
See, when it comes to India, India is very different than many other countries. India, actually, though I am from India, you're from India, we know India is a huge country. And it's actually, there are many small parts within India which are very different from each other. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Now, the reason why we cannot have a central, like a unified gaming body is because first, neither it supports politically, nor it supports constitutionally, because gaming or gambling is a state subject. Now, in our constitution, the right to govern this particular area has been given to the states.
Okay.
So, obviously, having a unified body at a central level is little difficult to achieve, and even the political will is also not there. Means it's not. So the best approach that I particularly feel is see, for smaller countries or countries which are a little bit more homogeneous, I think, like for example, Sri Lanka is a good example, UK is a good example, Denmark is a good example. You can have central unified gaming bodies.
Okay.
However, for big countries, particularly India or let's say US, the best option approach has to be that you the central or the federal structure defines the standards, and then it gets implemented at the state level, at the local level, because every state has its different culture, their different aspirations, different expectation from their state. So that way they can manage that. So personally, I don't feel India can ever have a centralized gaming body like you have UKGC in UK, but it should have some kind of, or in moving forward in a very ideal scenario, there should be some standards that should have been put in place, and then the states implement that. And this is not new, by the way, just so that you understand, this is not something new for India.
Okay.
So in India we already have lotteries which are allowed in India, but in the same case, a lottery, the framework was given by the central government, and then whichever state allows lottery, they follow that framework and then they implement that. So it's the same model that can be or might be replicated in gaming if we come to that. But as of now, the situation in India is we have gone more on a prohibition side rather than regulation side. So there has been a complete ban in skill-based game as well as chance-based game, anything to do with RMG, real money gaming. There's been so until that changes, I think we don't know what the next step is, basically.
Exactly. As you mentioned, the RMG ban in India. So that case is now already in Supreme Court, and now the government is actually trying to debate it whether it is a game based on skill or what exactly is its distinction. Everybody is still having a debate over it, as you know. So, but from your end, what practical steps can operators take as of now to stay compliant in that market?
See, I think from the information that has come out, I think what is allowed is social gaming is allowed, and some type of esports is allowed. So now the operators who are now presently operating in this space has to change their business model. They have to move more in the subscription style model or go into the esports side if they want to still operate in the market, or they need to wait for the Supreme Court to finish their deliberations, and when the Supreme Court is clear on the outcome. And obviously we can't talk about something that's already in court, so we can't talk about that. What we can say is if you want to operate in Indian market, then you need to consider the law that is being put or passed by the Lok Sabha, which is the lower house of parliament, is valid, and you need to comply with that law. So which means that you need to develop games which are specific to social gaming and which are esports model, and also obviously you have to ensure their player protections, KYC, everything is done, so you're not encouraging underage gaming in any way.
Well, Jaydeep, before we let you go, I have just one last question for you. Which oversight model do you believe will work the best when we talk of South Asian market? A hybrid model or something that is under total control of the federal or state government?
I think I kind of touched upon this point, I think, in the earlier. So I think, see, for a country like India, our central specific model does not work because we are too vast, we are too diverse to have that kind of a model in place. I think for us, we need to have something very similar to maybe what the US have done, where US have basically on the federal level, they have created a structure and a framework, and whichever states wants to allow gambling, they have followed that framework and they have implemented that. So for me, I believe that for a country like India, we cannot have very central-centric kind of a policy or a agency to monitor this. It has to be done at the local state level.
All right, Mr. Jaydeep, first of all, a big thank you for all these great insights, and we would love to hear more, possibly in the near future, if you meet again.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.